So let's start with story. Can you guys give me an overview of a brief look at the story and where your characters fit into it? Why don't you start with this?
The story is a contemporary take on what is essentially a classic Western, and it sort of sets out to look at a world that we've romanticized in our culture for many decades, and takes a lot of elements that have become familiar to us about that world, some of which are Hollywood creations and some of which are accurate, but and to look at it through the lens of a modern person, and the obviously the mission statement is that this would have been an awful, horrible time to live in. There's no medical treatment of any kind. There's one restaurant, one store. When the sun goes down, you pretty much have nothing to do. You just go to bed and get up early the next day and be bored and scared all over again. It was just a big, dangerous bummer. And when
a big, dangerous bummer.
Yeah, and when you were not an alpha of any kind, that probably was not a pleasant place to be. So that was essentially the only Western that I ever remember that kind of explored that territory, and I love the movie, is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, because Jimmy Stewart kind of spent the whole movie just going, what the fuck is wrong with you people? How can you live like this? And the story is about really the only two people who are savvy enough to see this. They can't do anything about it, but they both realize in the moment, in their present day, how terrible this is and how unfortunate it is that they've been born into this time, and kind of bond over this. And when we were doing rehearsals, Charlize said at one point, it's interesting, in many ways you bond with another person over what you hate more than what you both love. And I said, God, that's a great thought. And so I actually put it into the script as an exchange between their two characters. So in a nutshell, it takes a world that we know well through Hollywood and through history, and presents it through presents it through the eyes of a very modern lens.
Right, and your characters, like you said, have this common bond of basically hating the West, right? And how is it that evolves, that your characters evolve through the story?
They find that they hate the same things, and that they're kindred spirits. There's definitely an attraction there, and there's complications in the circumstance that they find themselves meeting each other in this world. But just good classic setup for two opposites to kind of attract and find each other. And then we figured out that there was some lying involved, the classic relationship stuff, and then we moved on from that. And
they both discover their own sense of worth through the other. He discovers that he can in fact summon courage, and she discovers that she is worth more than she has been giving herself credit for by being married to this asshole. So we wanted to tell a very modern story. I think in a movie like this that's a high concept comedy, you sort of get one crazy thing. With Ted, it was the talking bear, and then everything else has to be kind of grounded and relatable. So the fact that we're in a Western is our freebie high concept thing, and everything else had to be very accessible to a modern audience.